So today I have the gorgeous �𝐤𝐬𝐧 with me. If you see, she has active acne as well, and she has some scarring also, and her skin is oily combination. The first thing we're going to do is remove any excess hair. I always speak about the fact that a lot of people don't notice that if you have hair on the face and you don't remove it, the foundation will not look as good and really apply very smoothly. And right now we're just going to thread, and anywhere else I'm just going to use my makeup razor, and then we're going to take it from there. Now I'm going to first just spray some rose water on her. Really start getting some hydration in there, okay? Oily skin and combination skin is also sensitive skin as far as I'm concerned. It's skin that also needs a lot of TLC. I think we tend to be a little harsh on it when we're doing skincare or makeup. Now I'm going to take the Origins Never a Dull Moment Skin Brightening Face Polisher. I'm not going to scrub. A lot of times with this polisher you can even scrub the skin. I would do it on someone that didn't have texture issues, but here we do. We have some active acne, we have some older acne as well, so you don't want to really hurt her skin or have anything erupt or bleed, etc. So we're going to keep that on for a good about 4 to 5 minutes before we continue. So now I'm going to take a wet face towel and start removing this from her face very gently, because even the towel can, if you go at it very hard, we can kind of hurt her skin. So I'm going to do it very gently. Just going to take this off with the towel first. I'm also going to just bring this towel to her lips because I feel they're slightly dry, and rub that. The bristles of the face towel are also going to help in getting any excess dead skin off. Now I'm just going to quickly get her to wash her face. So now I'm going to apply the Origins mask. It's the 10-minute mask, but I'm going to keep it on while I do her eyes. So you want to also add some hydration. So any areas of the face that are, have scabs, or you feel like, sometimes acne tends to have a skin on top of it that's gotten very hard. This will kind of soften it while we do her eye makeup. So now I'm going to take a wipe. I'm going to let the mask stay on the rest of the face, and I'm going to start building my eye. I'm going to take some Born This Way concealer in almond, all right? And I'm going to add some Pro Longwear concealer. I'm going to take a foundation brush here, and I'm going to apply a layer of this, close 𝐤𝐬𝐧 up, on her eye here. And I'm going to take my smaller sponge and bounce this on the eye to kind of blend this into her socket nicely. So I'm just going to brush her eyebrows up. I'm going to do them later. Right now I'm just brushing them up to give them some shape. Just going to go back in, and with the same sponge just bounce that into her skin. I'm going to pull her lower lash line, waterline away from her eyeball and apply this inside. So I love using a good gel eyeliner to go inside the eye. I think it lasts way longer than pencils, etc., because it's a long-lasting product. I'm also going to go inner and upper lash line. Just keep looking down. And she's got this really lovely brown eye, and I want to really highlight that. So a lot of times when you add more warm browns, it starts to really bring out that color. Now I'm taking my blending brush, and I'm going to start building the same dip down that I've used the gel eyeliner. I'm also going to build a little bit of that, and you're going to come back at me now, close. Now I'm going to take my Huda Beauty Warm Sessions palette here, right? And I'm going to take the slightly kind of a warm orangey almost shadow and mix it with this sandy kind of brown, just these two colors. And I'm going to blend it over her, just look here and down. I'm going to blend it towards her socket line here, just softly. So now I'm going to take my Pat McGrath Mothership Sublime Dark Star eyeshadow palette, and I'm going to take the more less yellow, more like almost like a cooler gold shadow on her, and start kind of working that into the center of her eye. And then I'm going to go ahead and come back in with my warm brown Obsessions here and take the darker tone here with the same eyeshadow blending brush and start adding just a slight darkness in the corners, just very softly. So I'm just taking it and literally adding it to the outer corners here. And the idea is to just blend it back and forth in a very soft manner. So I'm creating no line, no stark kind of edges, just a nice softness. So you can take it up halfway and slightly lower, and then circular motions, just softly. So you can see just very softly structured our eye. Now I'm going to take Sweet Heat, again a metallic, almost kind of a champagne color, and I'm going to add that to her brow bone. Just in the inner corner here also, I'm going to add a touch of it to brighten up that area. And I'm just going to add a thin eyeliner to her eye. So open your eye, Shiza, and look down. And you're going to try not to blink, yeah? So 1, 2. No blinking. You can blink now, don't blink. The reason why I also wanted to show you makeup on someone who's not, someone who does, who has ever really modeled, look down, Shiza, or done this also, is to show you guys what one would have to do when you have real-time clients. They're not used to shutting their eye at the right time. There's a lot of back and forth. So, you know, also to show you guys how I would work around it. Close your eye. Just drawing that line across. And I'm going to kind of blend this right on top of the eyeliner, as you guys have seen in your previous kind of a eyeliner tutorial. We also did it with powder, but this is combining your liquid line with the powder to kind of almost smudge the line a little bit so it looks softer, less intense. Not going upwards, just keeping to the actual eyeliner and going back and forth. And if you can see, it's kind of softened that eyeliner that we had on. Now I'm going to take the eyelash curler and open Shiza. Pump her lash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do about 5. Just want to curl that lash. Look up again before I apply her false eyelashes. I'm just going to go back in once with my brush again. Close, Shiza, just the front of the eye. I feel the eyeliner needs a little bit of blending. Just going ahead and doing that. So I've taken Sephora's long lashes and I've applied some Huda Beauty glue on the lash, as you've seen me done prior also. Open and look down, Shiza, and try not to blink when I'm placing this on your root of the lash, okay? So we'll try to just, don't close either. Open, down again, don't close your eye. Open, down again. Now while the glue dries and sticks to her eye, I'm going to start removing that mask from her face, because we're going to start our skin before we finish the eye, etc. So that's been on her face while we did her eyes. It was a quick eye that we did, so it hasn't been very long either. So making sure any residue from anything is now off her face, any fallout, etc. Just going to dry her face now. Now I'm going to take the Neogen Pore Tight Refreshing Serum and apply that to her skin. I'm a fan of Korean skincare, Asian skincare in general. So we're just going to apply that serum on her face. You can already see, compared to what we started with where skin is concerned, her skin is now starting to have a nice glow happening to it. One of the reasons I like this primer for oily skin is that, or acne prone skin, is that it tends to oil after a while. Makeup can come off very easily. I feel this holds it very well. So for this type of skin, This is one of the primers I do like to use. And always remember, primers are matrix formers, so you don't want to rub them into the skin too much. Just kind of wipe and let them sit on the skin. Remember that on the face of someone who is suffering from acne, there tends to be slight redness as well. So I'm going to apply this. It has a green tinge to it, which will help me neutralize these particular areas also. I'm going to use my NW45 MAC Pro Longwear, and I'm going to add some of my Born This Way in Almond, and then add some Tarte Shape Tape in Medium Sand. And color correction, as you all know, I like to do it with my concealers as opposed to color correctors. I feel those can be kind of harsh. So I'm just going to go ahead now and add one more thing. I'm using the Huda's liquid lipstick. This is Boy Collector. I'm going to add a dot of it. So I'm just going to add that into my palette. This also helps in neutralizing some of the pigmentation that we'll have to cover. So always go at it with a slightly darker tone. The darker tone is going to help in neutralizing a lot of the pigmentation areas. Otherwise, what's going to happen when you apply the foundation is, if you haven't covered and done color correction properly, is that when you apply the foundation on her, you'll still see those coming through, and we don't want that. Under her eyes, we need it to bilkul upar dekho, towards the ceiling. Yeah. And turn towards me again, up again. And I'm going to use the Bourjois BB Cream in dark, and I'm going to add 50 WY into it. And you can see one is slightly almost a cool toned color, and one's a more warm toned color. And I'm going to mix both of these, and I'm going to start applying it to her face. Just kind of apply it, but to blend, I'm going to use my beauty blender. But to just go over it, just look at me, Shiza, completely. I'm going a little towards her neck as well to match the tone completely. And I'm taking a damp beauty blender, and I'm just going to go ahead and start blending this into her skin. Turn this way, Shiza. With anyone you're doing major coverage with, you want to make sure you're pressing the sponge and not moving it sideways too much. Just look up, Shiza. Up again. So we also end up going into the sides of the nose, because that is an area one can leave. Smile. Just making sure when she smiles, the apples of the cheek come out. I'm just going to buff it really into the skin, right? We don't want it sitting on top of the skin. We want it to actually look like it's being absorbed into the skin. And you do that, look this side again, by really just pressing the product into the skin properly. So on the same palette, just look this side, Shiza, and look up towards the ceiling. I'm going to now start putting this under her, right under her eye, to kind of brighten this area. So I'll show you guys that it should be in this particular kind of a structure. I've spoken about that before, that it should actually look straight, be blended out like this, as opposed to just a semicircle. You want to almost go down to the cheek. So back at me, Shiza, up again. Now I'm just pressing that under her eye. Now with any kind of illuminating product on skin that is more porous or acne prone, you don't want to go towards the acne. You want to stay towards areas that allow you to have a little bit of highlighting. So if you turn, Shiza, towards me again. You take it up slightly and towards her cheekbones here. So if you notice, what happens when I do that is that now when she turns around, she's going to have that nice glowiness happening. So I'm going to take my sponge now and buff that nicely into her skin. So for anyone, a lot of times girls come with acne and they're like, but we want that highlighted look. you'd be able to do that if you just avoid the areas where there's excessive acne. And I feel with acne prone skin, the general go-to is that to make it instantly very, very matte. I'm going to apply a little bit right on top of her lip here, Cupid's bow as well, right? I'm just going to go under her eye and look up. Just bounce my smaller beauty blender, making sure that anywhere the highlighter is meeting the concealer, it's nicely blended. Now I'm going to go back in with my NW45 and I'm going to contour her cheek. Now usually towards the cheek is when you have acne as well, so you're going to make sure that when you do placement you don't remove any concealing products. So completely turn towards her. A lot of times in the darkness of the contour you can also hide some of the acne, so I do like to do that as well. I'm just taking it down here. Right, so now I'm going to take my bigger sponge. So I'm just going to blend that with the same beauty blender that I've been doing the rest of her face with. Again, no wiping, it's all about a pressing, right? Press, press, press. I'm going to do the same thing on the nose. Close your eyes, Shiza. Just going to blend that. I'm just going to go under and start buffing that there, just to sharpen her contour line. Make sure it's blending with the contour. On top of her mouth a little bit as well. I'm not taking too much, it's very lightly taken, just a little dab on the palette here, and then just back at it. I'm going to go in the center of the neck a little bit as well, center of the nose, center of the forehead. Because you guys know I do a lot of my contouring and highlighting in liquid. The powder is just like the last step. Just towards the side of the nose as well, where we have the nose contouring happening, I'm just going to blend those sides a little bit, just smoothening where that line meets the darker line and going over it with my smaller beauty blender. I'm going to first just go under her eye and let it set for a bit. So I'm not a huge fan of baking, but you know, I do feel setting a good setting powder to set the makeup, especially on skin which has like a slip and slide kind of propensity, which is, you know, oily skin is very important. Then I'm taking some and I'm going to apply it in her T-zone. Now when I go in this particular area, I'm just going to take whatever is left on the sponge and go over it slightly. I don't want to add a lot of extra powder because, like I said, I do want her to seem very radiant by the time we are done. I'm also going to add powder to her neck and jawline here. I'm just going to start creating my eyebrow, always from the outer edge first. Filling in those gaps, making that nice line here. In the front, like I always say, don't go too harsh when you're coming towards the front. You want to keep soft. Now I'm going to take the Pat McGrath highlighting trio. I'm going to mix the gold here, dip it into the middle. Now I'm going to just now buff it again, just the place where I had initially applied that Hollywood filter. I'm just going to go ahead and buff that into her skin. So you can see that kind of nice highlight happening. Under the eye here, we're going to try to avoid to go towards any area which has acne, because that would just highlight that problem. It's a powder blush. It doesn't have any highlighting qualities in it because we want to remain more matte on this. Smile. Just gonna buff that into Shiza's cheek here. And I'm just buffing, making sure it doesn't look too highlighted on the cheek, because then she's gonna start looking oily after a while. So I took some of the Spice Lip Pencil to give her lip a nice contour. So first we applied uncuffed and then it was unbuttoned on top. Now I'm just going to add some Huda's lip strobe in Angel Egg. Just smile, Shiza, a little bit. Lips together karke smile karo. Just going to blend that on her lip. for a sheen on the lip as well, because like I said, an overall nice radiant look would look great on her. Alright, so now I'm going to go back in with my Bourjois brown eyeliner to just cover that line of glue. Try not to blink. Right, and I'm going to take a dry bud, and I always do this after I apply eyeliner, especially when the people have false eyelashes on, is to just brush it so any extra residue comes on top of the bud and doesn't hit the top of the lash. And just in the corner, I'm going to retouch the darkness, the dark color. Then go back in with my eyeshadow blending brush and just give it a nice blend here. So it gives like a all over dewiness to the face. So again, like I said, I don't like, no matter what the skin condition, for it to look very matte, until and unless sometimes I have very damaged skin, and then it doesn't leave you with much of or active acne or like pimples that are like bleeding, then it doesn't leave you with much of an option. But otherwise, I try my best to keep it dewy. And then I'm gonna use a little eyeshadow brush and apply the same gold that I used in the center of her eye. I'm gonna just apply a little bit in the inner corner. Look up, Shiza. And then I'm gonna go ahead and apply some of my highlighting trio gold again on her cheek, just as a finishing. So I'm gonna take some of that on my sponge, just a little bit on the sponge, and just on her higher cheekbone here, I'm going ahead and just adding that. We've done a nice kind of soft eye on her. It's impactful, but it's not too much either. It still looks like really soft, glossy kind of makeup. We've kind of highlighted her skin in a soft, muted way, so it still looks like she's got nice, dewy skin. We've covered any kind of pigmentation, acne that's happening to give us the skin beautiful effect and not let ourselves get taken over by the fact that she may have active acne or pigmentation and put up too much product on her face. You can see when the light also hits her cheek how nice and radiant it's looking. So it's all about highlighting their features. She's got these gorgeous kind of eyes, her nose, her lips, and taking any attention away from any flaw that may be on the client's face, but in a very subtle, natural way.